Hi, welcome to the Bootleg Book Club. I'm Felicia.
And I'm Sam.
Today is our 7th episode, and our pick is Charming as a Verb by Ben Philippe. And it's our 7th episode, which is a huge milestone, which means that we have overcome and passed the pod fade.
So the pod fade is pretty much where there's this idea out there that most podcasts will kind of like fade away, in the sense that a lot of people don't manage to keep up their momentum for whatever reason. And actually over 90% of podcasts don't make it to their 7th episode. And 7 is kind of considered a magic number in like the podcast world. And it's just this idea that if you make it to number 7, it's more likely that you'll be a long-term podcast. And to honor this achievement, we're going to be having a giveaway. So it kind of coincided in like a perfect way, in the sense that it's our 7th episode. We hit 70 followers on Instagram, and we know that most people do giveaways when they get to 100, 150 and like plus or whatever, but we thought this was a good moment, and we didn't want to forget this moment, and we wanted to acknowledge it. And more than that, in our faith as well as Christians, 7 is also a really important number. It means completion. God created the earth in 7 days. In addition to that, the Battle of Jericho, they walked around for 6 days, once a day. And then on the 7th, they walked around 7 times and then blew their trumpets, and the walls came tumbling down. So, 7 is just this really magical number. And so we're also going to be, in our giveaway, we're going to make 7 part of that as well, in the sense that we're going to give away 7 different book-related items. Now, to get an idea of what those items are, you're going to have to follow us on Instagram and make sure you get all the details. And the rules will also be in our description box, as well as how to get to our Instagram. And one thing I wanted to surprise Felicia with is a gift, because we made it to our 7th episode and because she went on this journey with me. And obviously, we're not saying we're going to be long-term. We don't know where this will go. Mm-hmm. Like, so far, it's just been a fun way for us to get back into reading. And I've loved that experience and just being able to hang out with my sister. But I got us these 7 necklaces, because, like, 7 is also considered an angel number. Like, those numbers that, like, when you see them, like, 3 times, like, it can mean something. And so it has the meaning on here. It says, repeating 7s are basically the universe urging you to relax and let go of your fears for the future. Give up your control of what's going to happen next, and instead embrace the present and trust that everything is always working out for you. And I feel like we've done that with the podcast in a lot of ways. Like, we've gotten confused about a lot of the technical side of it.
Yes.
But we've just been like, you know what? This is our hobby. This is the thing that we're doing to, like, kind of accountability in a sense, like, to get back into reading, but also just like remembering like why we fell in love with reading in the first place, and reading together, really. And so so I got us matching 7 numbers, like angel numbers, 7 numbers. So so this is for you, and I have my own envelope. Oh, and you can have the little envelope. I took it out so I could read
that is so beautiful. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been quite a journey so far. I'm definitely staying excited and hopeful to keep on going. And I'm excited to get into the next book then.
All right. Yeah. So let's continue with why we, with our pick for today, Charming as a Verb.
Yes. So this month is Haitian Heritage Month. We are also children of Haitian immigrants. We are very, happy and just very prideful of that, you know.
We feel very connected to our culture. We grew up with it all around us, like always speaking Haitian Creole in the household. We've been to Haiti a couple of times.
Yes.
And it's just always kind of been present in our lives.
Yes. I know this poet, she always said that she wasn't born in Haiti, but Haiti was born in her home for her.
Right.
So I've definitely always connected to that. So seeing this book was really eye-opening to get a chance to have a story about a young Haitian boy, and see Haitian culture and elements within it.
Yeah, just seeing Haitian culture in modern media forms, I think
yes.
is always nice too for me.
Yes.
And I feel like I can connect to it in a different way.
Yes, I also think Ben Philippe, he's kind of new to the scene of writing, where usually I've seen famous Haitian writers like Edwidge Dantika.
Yeah.
So this again, it's very modern, new, and it seems a little bit more relatable for our generation. So, going into more power of the pen and about the author, Ben Philippe, he was born in Haiti, but he was raised in Montreal, Canada. And you see both of those elements, of course, in the book with our main character. He has a Bachelor of Arts from Columbia University and an MFA in Fiction and Screenwriting from the Minster Center for Writers at the University of Texas. I just wanted to mention he seems very down to earth and funny in real life. When I was doing research,
Did you see like interviews or videos of him?
No, but I was reading a lot of stuff on Goodreads, and he left a comment. And his comment was like, he gave his book 5 stars, and he was like, only here to mathematically make up for a future 1-star review that will generally hurt my feelings.
Oh.
And I thought, of course, like, charming as a Verb, that was very charming, you know? Yeah. Where it's like, yes, I mean, have pride in your work and everything, but being honest that, this is my art, this is my craft, you know? I thought that was really just cute and wholesome.
Okay.
This is his second book. He has 2 other books, and his first book, I think, came out around like 2017. So again, kind of new to the scene for writing. Now, next up is Book Luck.
Okay. So the book was a little over 300 pages. It was 327 pages, and that's including the short epilogue, which I thought was a nice little touch. Yeah. So the cover, it's very much like some of the other young adult books we've seen, where you see the main character and kind of aspects of the book within it. So like it's set in New York City, and I feel like it's very obvious from this cover that it's in New York City. And you see him walking a dog, which is like, I don't think this is giving anything away, but he has a dog walking business. And it's just like I like it. Cute cover. It's nice. Very, you can tell it's a young adult book and about a young man's journey.
Yes. I really like the colors in the cover, and I like the cute kind of schoolgirl look too. That was just really nice because it shows like, I mean, that's his love interest in the book. So again, it was really nice to see young Black people part of it. And what's new though for this book, I think, since we've started, it's through the point of view of a young man,
versus a woman.
For a woman. So that was really interesting for me.
And I feel like there actually aren't that many young adult novels that are from the point of view from a guy. So this is interesting.
Yeah, for the young boys.
For like young adults, this is probably like my first book that's coming from like a male point of view, I would say, actually.
I agree with that. So that kind of leads to it for the bookmark. Just talking about this is young adult, coming of age, romance novel. Honestly, for me personally, I didn't have like an exact quote that I want to share, but I do want to share like my favorite parts of the book. We'll talk more of it, of course, in the deep dive. But I really love he gets a chance to take a trip to Canada with his, at the time, crush, Corinne. So I think that was a really sweet moment because she kind of handles the details for this trip, and it was just really, you got to see that even though they're young people, that they're very considerate and heartwarming kinds of people in the world still.
Yes, I agree. I thought that was a really sweet moment. I don't know that I have a necessarily like favorite part. Like I felt like I was reading and it all kind of flowed together and it was nice. And it felt like a complete solid story, but I don't know that there was a moment that like stuck out to me necessarily. I know there was I'll save it for the rough draft, but I know there was like a moment where I kind of cringed. But
there was cringy parts.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, I will say I did have a couple quotes. I always feel like I have the most quotes, but that's okay. I will try to do one for right now.
Okay.
So page 34, It's the beginning of chapter 4, and it says, diaspora was the first SAT word I remember learning last year. A scattered population whose origin lies in a different geographic locale. For Haitians, the Haltewanger clan specifically, it means to split apart and put yourself together someplace else. I'm from a branch of a tree that at some point gave way to 5 siblings, all smart, all filled with potential, all hungry for a better life elsewhere. I just thought that was just like a beautiful description of what it means to be part of the diaspora, and also just what it means to be an immigrant somewhere else where, you know, you're not necessarily living in the area where your culture started, you know, and you don't have that physical connection to your culture, but what brings you together are like you're forced to be kind of put together by other qualities. And they talk a lot about this hunger and being hungry for a better life, a better world. And I feel like that's something that we can really identify with, because that was always discussed in our household. Like, you know, our family, our parents, grandparents, they made sacrifices and they only made it so far. And it was up to us to pick up the baton and move it forward and to do better and to, you know, get to another height of success. And so that's kind of what I took from that quote. So
yeah, definitely see that. So I guess then along the way you'll share your other quotes.
Yes.
So point of view, least and favorite character. For me, and I think we have the same, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely Corinne.
Yes, that was my fave. Yes. I loved her. I thought she was so funny. And without even meaning to be like, you know, like her character read as like, she's just being who she is, and y'all like are not used to it, so you think it's funny, but she's just being who she is, and I loved that.
Yes, she's just such an honest and authentic person. So that was really nice to read and just see the way that she interacts with other people, because she's learning how to kind of socialize. That was just also hilarious, and I really liked those touches. And she kind of, for me, reminded me like this would be the older version of the younger sister from One True Love.
Oh.
So that was my whole attitude. She was like, this is the older version of her, kind of.
Yeah,
she was actually in high school.
She's just about her business.
Yes.
You know?
And then for my least favorite character or anything, I didn't have any, honestly. I think all the other characters are pretty, I don't know.
You don't really get deep into their personality.
Yes,
you don't get deep enough into their personality to be able to dislike them.
Exactly. And for the main character, Henry,
I would Henri,
yeah. I wouldn't say like I disliked him, but there's just certain things he does that you dislike. But overall, he is a likable character.
I think he is meant to be a likable character in the sense like you're reading about how others view him and like him so much. But for me, I felt like, yes, he's a 17-year-old kid. He's still in high school, a 17, 18-year-old kid still in high school, about to graduate. But I just felt like he could have handled so many things better. You know, he could have done things better. And so like there were moments where I just was like, I don't know that when I was in high school I would have been friends with this kid, or I would have liked this guy necessarily. But it made for a good story, but I just was like, I don't know that I would like him that much.
I think just because it's the way that he portrays himself to so many different people in different ways, I think I would have liked him. I think I would have had him as a friend. I feel like I do see those types of people. I can imagine them in my head that I went to high school with, and like it's not like we were best friends, but you know, it's the charming part of it all.
Yeah, you were friends in a way. Okay.
So I think that's where it's like, it's not too bad. And again, it is like, he is young at the end of the day. I think there's just so much more to life, and like I think the book touches on that.
Right.
So deep dive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do our deep dive a little differently this book. Yes. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Usually we do have a spoiler alert and different things like that. But this time, the spoiler alert would be the entire book.
Yeah, giving away a big part of the book.
So usually we could give away certain things and we could still have a really good conversation.
Without feeling like we've given away everything.
Like you could still go out and enjoy the book, honestly. So this time we're kind of just going to talk about the main character, Henri. He makes a mistake. He makes a big mistake along his college journey for application. So yeah, for just an intro about the book, Henri, he is a senior. He attends Fate Academy. His parents are Haitian immigrants. They live in New York. His mom is trying to be a firefighter.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Yes.
Just to show, like, you can always go after your dreams.
Exactly.
And some people, you know, they do what they gotta do to just bring in the money and, like, go about their day. But I felt like which I think is his father, he was like, you know, at the end of the day, my responsibility is to put food on the table for my kid. And that's what I'm gonna do.
Yes.
But I think she was kind of, like, showing the other side of it, where it's like you still got to make yourself happy too. You still got to have a passion for something, which actually kind of takes me back to One True Loves, where it was like I want to provide, I want to have money, but like I don't want to be miserable in what I do every day. And so she actually was a paralegal who then decided to become a firefighter.
Yes.
And I was like kind of shocked by that in a sense, that because I do know paralegals in New York, they can make really good money.
Oh, wow.
If they work for like a big firm, like, yeah, they can make good money.
Yeah. I just really appreciated that on that note of, you're not like too old or it's not too late to go after your dreams, you know? So I think that was really interesting and hopeful to see. And his dad is the super of where they live, like the apartment building.
Right.
And that's where we meet Corinne, who also lives on the top floor in the apartment building and everything. And she has a little dog that needs to be walked, and Henri has a dog walking business.
Right.
And this dog walking business is something that he's doing to save up for the expenses of college applications, right? As a senior, he's applying to college, going to a private school, or just in general, there's a lot of pressure and expectation for getting into your number one school. His number one school is an Ivy League, and everything is Columbia, right? Yeah, it is Columbia. And
it's very clear throughout the book that it's not just his dream. It's like the family dream, which I think goes back to the idea of being a child of immigrants. Like, nothing is just you. Like, everything is as a unit. Yes. Like, it's not my dream. It's all of our dream.
Right. So,
which can add pressure.
Yes.
Right? So.
Yes. But again, as a unit, he kind of understood that my parents are working so hard already for me, so let me do this business to pay for anything on the side that I can, you know, because it comes to application fees, it comes to tutoring fees, it comes to just all these extra things. If you're going to go visit, this costs money. And you kind of see that also throughout the book, this imbalance of who has access to this, of like very privileged resources.
Just resources.
Yes.
And I think, again, that goes to add to the pressure in the sense that you think like, oh, once I get to this private school, it will 100% help me get to where I want to be. And I feel like you could probably speak to this. But then you get to private school and it's like, it doesn't end there. It doesn't end at just getting accepted. Then there's people who tutor you, who can basically write/edit your papers. I mean, there's just resources and access that a scholarship kid doesn't necessarily always have. Yes. And I think that's what Henri represents. Yes. It's like every time you think you're getting closer to the dream, there are still other obstacles, really.
And then you're witnessing your peers who are legacies, right?
Oh, double legacies. Have buildings named after them on the campus that they want to go to. And it's like, yeah, they're going to get in. They don't even really worry about it.
Like, their families know the president of the school, different things like that, being introduced to people. And it's like also seeing that goes through more pressures, right?
Right.
So he's going through all of that. Also, he's on the debate team. So he's just really busy in all these things. But what ends up happening is Corinne seeks an opportunity because she's also applying for college and everything. She wants to go to Princeton, which is also amazing. But she has like this binder, all of these expectations to get there. She has a plan, and she realizes in her plan that one of her recommendations does not go the way she wants it. She is called intense, right? And for her, that she felt, and it's true, being intense kind of would destroy her full application, right?
In the sense that the recommendation also talked about she's so intense to the extent that she's not able to socially connect with others.
Yes.
And that's kind of how her relationship with Henri starts to build, because Henri is the charming one, seems to be able to be friends with different groups at the school. And what happens is Corinne goes to Henri for help with the social aspect of her life to hopefully be able to change this teacher's mind about the type of recommendation that she's writing.
Yes, pretty much. And it's really just funny, I think, because that is one thing that it really put me back towards my senior year compared to other people. Not that I had to learn to socialize, but also getting the reputation that, oh, you're intense, or you're the kid who takes this way too seriously and different things like that, when it's like, I can't afford not to.
I can't afford not to take it seriously. That's so true.
Because what she was saying at the end of the day is being smart isn't enough anymore for these. They get like thousands of applications, and if you're competing with other kids who do have access to all these resources, I need to still stand out. I do need to be social, but it's like I haven't had time to be social because I'm working on my academics and different things like this. So it's just like it's just so much
but I will say it kind of also makes me think of a lot of those coming of age stories. It's like you do get to your senior year and you're like, what do I have to show for it, outside of the classroom? And I thought this was a nice way for Corinne to kind of get that social aspect. Like, even though it came about like through like pressure because of a recommendation letter, I think it kind of was helpful in that, it's her last year of high school, and I think she gets this other aspect out of it that is really nice as well.
Yes. I do think also you could still see that she knows who she is at the end of the day. That she does see that people call her intense, but she still wants to be a teenager, and she has like teenage impulses, and you see that when Henri's helping her by going to parties with her. She kind of says, I have a crush on that one guy, you know what? And I want to kiss him, I want to do all these things, and it's just really funny. But then she like finally actually gets to speak to him, and she's like, no. And I told him no, and he's laughing at me thinking this is a flirting style, and it's not. So she knew what her yeses was and what her nos were, and that was appreciated. And I think, again, that's how they ended up from Henri kind of teaching her how to be social. It turns into friendship. It turns into, actually, we have a crush on each other because we're spending all this time and having all these conversations. Which leads to her kind of helping Henri see a different view about college, where he's going after, like you said, Columbia, because it's not his dream, it's the family's dream, right? And you kind of see that at the beginning when he's being interviewed, and the interviewer, who I thought was a bit harsh, was like, she was trying to kind of dig deeper and see why does he specifically want to be there. And he kind of made a misstep and said, what my dad always dreamt I would be there, right? I think that's an easy mistake. And I think that's something that does happen in so many families. It does start off, well, my parents went this, or my parents used to watch these games, and, and then I get attached also.
Right.
But Corinne kind of realizes, well, you actually do have another passion, which is design, which is shoes, which is like you light up when you talk about this. And there's another school in Canada that is the best program for that, right?
Right.
So you should at least go to this interview, because he actually wasn't going to go.
Yes, and I think that was something nice about Corinne. Like, she was like, let's look at our options. And she was just wanting him to realize the world, like, he has like such a narrow view of everything, and just wanted to show him that there are other ways to be successful and other options to be successful as well. So I thought that was nice. Like, I felt like they were helping each other, really. Like, he was helping her be social, and she was helping him realize that, like, life doesn't have to, you don't have to have such a narrow view on, like, the way that your life has to go or should go or whatever. So I really liked that as well.
Yes.
So I want to kind of talk about, to me, what I related most with, which was being a first-gen kid, right? Like, the first generation to be born in America. And there was two things that stuck out to me. So after Henri makes this mistake, his dad is obviously upset. And and Henri is saying, like, do you know how unfair the admission system is? And his dad is like, right, yeah. Like, the system where you luck your way into a full ride to a phenomenal school where you're not bullied, have rich friends, and everyone loves you. The one where your classrooms are filled with top-of-the-line computers and you just chill with the children of millionaires when you're not playing with dogs. I want to say I thought it was really unfair that his dad was like, when you're playing with dogs, when, like, that's Henri's job, is like to, like, dog walk. Like, it's like something that's bringing in income, and that's actually helping the family as well. But I think overall what I really got out of it is, like, I feel like it's hard in a different way. I'm not, obviously immigrants, like, they had a difficult time in their home countries and then a difficult time coming here. But it's also, it's like hard in a different way for first gen kids, because it's like, it's not this easy stroll in the park, you know, going to school or doing these other things with people who don't understand your background and where you're coming from. And it's one thing to be around rich kids and versus actually being a rich kid. Like, you know, like, that experience is very different. And it's like, for his father to say these things as if it's some walk in the park, when really Henri has been struggling with almost every aspect of it, right? Because he feels even insecure bringing people to his home, because he's done that in the past and it didn't go well, right? So I think there's just, like, there just needs to be more understanding on both sides sometimes. But I will also say, so that's, like, I kind of was frustrated with the dad in that part, but I just was like, you know, as a first gen kid, it's not always easy, but there is that other side of it, which is also highlighted in the book, in the sense that his dad talks about when he first got here to the U.S. And his dad says on page 301, but when I finally got here, I learned it wasn't my city. I was a part of it. I could survive it somehow, but couldn't say I tried to make a bigger space for myself than that. And then in the blink of an eye, it's been more than 2 decades. And really, like, what his dad is talking about is the fact that, you know, when you're in Haiti or when you're in, like, you know, this other country where you're, like, really struggling and you think, like, if I can just get to the U.S. or if I can just get to France or if I could just get to Canada or if I could just get to England, like this other Western country, you know, things will be good for me. Things will be okay for me. But then you get there and it's like, this is still not my world at the end of the day. And I'm just here to survive still and just be able to make it day by day so that my kids can have an opportunity for a better life.
Right.
So I just liked that you got to see both perspectives. Like, it's not easy being the first gen kid, but it's also not easy being the immigrant. It's like everybody has it hard in their own way.
Yes. And that is... that I think is often overlooked, right? Because it's like, yes, we are supposed to be grateful. We've the themes keep, you know, kind of merging together. Like One Tree Loves, it's like, yes, we have this sense of excellence and, you know, being our ancestors' wildest dreams and all of these things, but there comes to a time to also recognize that that still takes a toll, you know, and it takes a toll on you emotionally, mentally, physically, because I think that dynamic you see in the way again, it's his job. He's running around with these dogs for work, but he has to take the bus to go back to school at the end of walking the dogs, you know, to still go to debate, to still be this well-rounded student, to still have a social life. And one thing he mentioned, again, with that point of, I'm at the school with these resources, but he was like, there's $30 in my bank account compared to these other students. So
they have credit cards that they can just run up and charge.
Yes.
And it's like not a big deal.
They have drivers. They don't even have to take taxis who are waiting for them to take them back to school or different things like that. So
they don't have to wait on a subway if the train goes down or whatever the case may be.
So there is a difference there. And not to say like to pigeonhole you or hold you back from that, but to be able to just acknowledge that, I think that's something is needed. And that's what Henri desired. He wasn't getting that acknowledgement. He was just getting that go, 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 grind, grind, grind mentality.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
So do we want to move into the writing wish?
Yeah. So for me, there was the whole charming motif. I think towards the end it kind of wore off on me, because in the beginning you're introduced, like, he has this thing of there's different ways to smile and different things like that. For me, it was just like you're code switching, you know?
Yeah.
You're which is totally fine, you know? You're acting a certain way to your clients, you're acting a certain way in front of certain friends at school who might not understand you, but he puts it into this whole charming thing, which was cool at first, but it goes into his character of, maybe that's what I don't know exactly if you were talking about being friends with him, because he makes it kind of like, how am I going to like get this person
out of this?
Yeah, how am I going to get this person on my side today? You know, to kind of do this or that.
Just like working a situation in your favor, but it can kind of toe the line of deceitfulness. Basically,
yes, it was kind of getting
which kind of goes into his mistake.
Yeah, so it just ended up feeling that he was forcing a lot of relationships in the end instead of being authentic. And he did have one really good friend though, Ming, who it could have been his trauma and hurt from his previous friendship. I definitely do think that took part in it, but he couldn't be a real friend to Ming, I think, until the very end, because he was trying to code switch and put all of these walls up with his charm.
Right. I will say it took me a while to really understand the whole charming as a verb thing, but I did like that the author kind of explained it, when he says on page 255, it's the mother saying, all children are charming as an adjective, but you're charming as a verb. Like, he does it, like, he's charming with every part of him, like, with all of his actions and just who he is as a person, just, like, just what he does, like, you know, can become very charming. But again, I think there's like the line can kind of edge closer to something negative here and there. But
yes,
but I do like that it was kind of explained, because I do think I was kind of getting lost and confused in like what is so charming, I guess.
Yes,
and like what is charming as a verb, and like. So I was just glad for that line to kind of like explain it, like as opposed to an adjective, it's like all that he does in action. So I liked that.
Yeah. And my other thing, we kind of hinted towards it, but it was, I would love to see a little bit more from other characters. I think because we were so much into Henri's storyline, we didn't get to see more glimpses of his mom, you know? There was very, like, one or two, which also kind of is part of, like, I guess, the immigrant, your parents are always working. But seeing that or just more of that interaction would have been something preferred, I think.
Right. I hear you. Well, overall, I did like the book. I did just really enjoy reading a Haitian first-generation perspective. I really loved that for, like, as far as me reading it and going through it. But I know you're writing the review for this, so it will be up by the time this podcast comes out. And you should check out our Instagram and the blog to figure out our full thoughts on everything.
Yes. And don't forget, we have a giveaway coming, so make sure to check out the description below.
All right. Follow us everywhere. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.
Bye.